So I'd like you to welcome Matt Bounds with his speech, What is the Ultimate Legacy? With What is the Ultimate Legacy, Matt Bounds.
Some years ago, a chubby, cheerful Australian woman hit upon an idea as she was out taking her daily walk along the beach. For many years, she had cultivated poppies in her back garden. And every year, after they bloom, she'd carefully collect up the seeds like precious jewels and store them away. Poppy season was one of the highlights of her life. Wouldn't it be wonderful, she thought, as she walked along the beach, if everyone could see what I now see in my mind's eye, a splash of crimson against these dull browns of the windswept sand dunes. So she set about scattering her precious seeds to leave a daub of crimson, daubed with love on a living landscape for the joy of people she'd never meet. You know, here and now, we have so much to thank previous generations for, don't we? Often bequests that people leave behind hundreds of years after they've gone reach out and change our lives. Universities, libraries, trees planted, parks, park benches, works of art, literature. Tonight, fellow toast sponsors, I want to tell you about a legacy that is greater than all of these things, and to tell you how you can contribute to it. And to help you understand my viewpoint, first of all, I'd like you to do a little experiment with me. I'd like you to imagine that you are a great artist. Close your eyes, please. Take a deep breath. But unlike Monet or Renoir, you're not painting on a flat canvas. Your canvas is, well, the future. And you're working on a self-portrait, or what it looks like. And there you are. It's 50 years in the future. And thanks to the marvels of modern medicine, you're still alive, much better shape than you ever thought you'd be, in a modern looking room. And next to you is the most delightful little girl with curly brown hair. She has freckles on her face, a couple of teeth missing, big lisp. And together you are looking at a wildlife documentary. And the little girl, whose name is Poppy, she's 7 years old, is absolutely entranced with the elephants and the polar bears and the gorillas and the tigers and the corals. And in the middle of it, she turns to you and says, Grandma or Grandpa, why are all these animals extinct? And there's a pause. And you think, well, I might as well tell her the truth. So as kindly as you can, you say, well, long before you were born, we humans got to be so good at multiplying in numbers, and we got so good at looking after ourselves that we ran out of food and we ran out of space. So we took the homes of the gorillas and the pandas, and we used the land where their food grew, and we grew our own food, and we put roads and hospitals, and soon they went away and died. And then the other animals that were there, a lot of those we hunted and killed for one reason or another, and other animals just died by mistake. Little Poppy, instead of bursting into tears as you feel like doing, looked at you and said, that's not fair, is it? When I grow up, I'm going to unextinct these animals and give them back their homes. You'll help me, won't you, Grandad? Now let's just step back from our realistic painting. And it's very realistic. Scientists predict that in 50 years' time, 1/3 of all species living on this earth will be extinct. And what are you going to say to her? Will you help her, won't you? Can you, can't you? Well, I've got some good news for you. Luckily, there is an amazing conservation project that's going on at the moment. It's called the Frozen Ark. And the idea is simple: to preserve frozen samples of DNA of all the most endangered species. As you may know, animal cells contain a complete blueprint of the animal encoded in their DNA. And scientists believe that within 50 or so years, they will be able to completely reconstruct creatures from this DNA. Now, storing DNA frozen is no substitute for preserving them in their natural habitat or trying to conserve them in zoos, but there are 10,000 species becoming extinct every single year, and for these animals, for many of them, having their DNA preserved, frozen, is probably their only chance. Now, when they take samples, it's painless, it doesn't harm the animals, and these samples of DNA can be stored for hundreds, if not thousands of years. And by contributing to this project, well, you will be able to finish that painting in a positive way to help little Poppy unextinct those animals. So what can you do? Well, this project needs money. It badly needs money, and any amount you can give, given that there's 10,000 species going out of business every year, will make a difference. For $1,000, you can actually save an entire species from extinction by saving the DNA for it. So I just ask you to consider, when you think about the future of your children and their children, just imagine how much richer their life will be if they can still cuddle koalas, if they can still marvel at gorillas and lions and elephants, because all of these animals are in danger of becoming extinct. As for that chubby, cheerful Australian woman I told you about at the start, well, she was my mother. She died 14 years ago. But where she scattered those tiny seeds, she still reaches out and touches people with a precious legacy of crimson poppies dancing in the breeze. But I would ask you, what is more precious than these tiny DNA samples of soon-to-be extinct animals? These are priceless heirlooms. Surely they are the ultimate legacy. So I entreat you to consider donating to the Frozen Art Project. Make it your legacy, the ultimate legacy. And I'd just like you, please, to just distribute these little slips of paper around. And just put one, each of you, in your wallet and keep it there until, the details of the website are on there, keep it in your wallet until you've paid a $10 donation to that site. That's it.